Hi, this is Erica Merrill, and I'm the founder of Perfect Legal Video. I'm very excited to have with us today Attorney Nicole Reeves Lavallee. She owns a family and real estate law firm in the Worcester, Massachusetts area, and she and her team are fantastic at what they do. We are privileged to have them with us every week, talking about all of the details that will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run. And today we are going to be talking about the topic of documentation, which doesn't sound sexy, but the stories behind it will make your hair burn. It's like crazy. So let's talk today. Thank you so much for joining us, Nicole.
Thanks for having me. It's definitely one of those topics that, yes, it is boring, but it's something that's very important to each one of you.
Absolutely. And I know it's not a secret that I've used you for a past divorce. And that first meeting with you was incredibly eye-opening because I realized how much I didn't know. And whenever you go to court, you have to fill out a financial statement. And, if you're not the one that was paying certain bills, or you paid half the bills or whatever it is, you have to find out that information, and it has to be accurate so that you don't get in hot water later. So why don't we talk about documentation? What documentation would you like to cover first, Nicole? There's a lot of it, I know.
Well, since you brought up the financial statement, let's address that. It's one of those things that I'm going to hand to you, and I'm going to hand it to you at our very first meeting and say, you're going to need to look at this, and you're going to need to prepare for it. And you're going to go, yeah, go away. And then I'm going to say, okay, we have court in 2 weeks. You need to complete this document. And you're going to go, oh, but I'll get to it. No, let me be clear. That is the wrong answer. It is not something that you get to. It is not something that you randomly do while you're watching TV or the games. And you're like, yeah, well, I'll put this number down. No. Can I stress enough? No. It's one of those things that if you screw up the first one, you're going to most likely screw up all the rest of them. And you're signing those under the pains and penalties of perjury. It is probably the number one most important document that you're going to be submitting to the court. And it's very frustrating for me when you're going, okay, well, here's my pay stub. Okay, I can probably do the first 2 pages based on your pay stub. I can't necessarily do that bottom half of page 2. I definitely can't do all of page 3. And if you're a long form, there's all the other pages that I'm going to be missing. So it's one of those things that, yes, I can look at a pay stub and I can fill in the taxes that you don't understand. But I don't know if somebody else is living in your household and contributing expenses to that. I don't know if, what those expenses are that aren't listed on your financial statement that you might have income to. I don't have any of that information. I certainly don't know what your bank account is worth today. And then the other part of that is when you fill it out the first time, is it going to be the same the second time? The answer is no. It's going to be very, very similar, yes, but it's not going to be the same. You're going to have changes in your bank account. You're going to have changes in your mortgage. You're going to have changes in your car payment, the outstanding car payment. You're going to have changes in your credit cards. None of those things are going to stay the same. And when you tell me they're the same, you're setting yourself up for failure. So when you give it to me, we're putting it all together. And then I go to court and I say, here, take a look at it, Erica, make sure it's accurate. I better not hear the answer of, well, I gave it to you, it must be right. Really? This is your financial statement. You're signing on the pains and penalties of perjury. You need to look at it. I'm putting information off of based on what you told me. I don't know anything to be true. I know what you told me. So you really need to take a time to look at it. I usually have yours right there that you drafted up, and I have the one that's completed, and I'm happy to show you both of them, but you're the one signing it. So let's start with, you need to sign this. You need to sign it every time you go to court. There will be changes on it, and you need to update it, and you need to take it seriously.
Here's an interesting question that I don't think we've covered before. Since the pandemic, a lot more people are working from home. And I'm just wondering, how the expenses, let's say they work for themselves, how the expenses of their job might affect their financial statement. Do they check and split up personal versus business expenses? Because your business expenses shouldn't go on your financial statement, I would assume. That's separate.
So if you're a DBA or if you own your own business, obviously you're going to have to fill out a different schedule. But on that schedule, yes, you should only articulate the portion at the maximum that you can claim. So if you have a 2,000 square foot house and your office is confined to one room that's 500, well, then you better divide that accordingly and give me that number that you're paying for the utilities based on that square footage. That's what you also have to do with your tax return. So no, you don't get a free for all of, well, I'm just going to include all of the electric and all of the gas and all. No. We've got to use our heads. And again, some of that stuff, the judge is going to go, no, you're not doing that. You're double dipping. But you're going to have to say, look, for my house as a homeowner, my expenses for the electric are this. And for my business, my expenses are this. The opposing counsel can certainly make an argument that says, no, 100% of it is for your household and none of it's for your business, which will increase your wages.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, because then if you're using it as an expense, then it comes off of what you can pay yourself.
And that's true. I mean, the simple answer is what you can claim on your taxes isn't necessarily what you can claim on your financial statement. All too often people are claiming them and they're basically double dipping, and you can't do that. But you're going to have to be able to articulate exactly that this is 1/4 of my house or something to that, and that's the reason why I'm using that value. You can't just take a whole number. You're going to have to be able to articulate it in such a way that the judge is going to go, yeah. If you're an Uber driver, you're going to have to, do wear and tear in your car. I mean, that's the difference. Can you use the mileage? You can use it for tax purposes for the IRS and DOR. You can't necessarily use it for income and a reduction on your income in terms of your financial statement. Completely different things.
I mean, is this the part where I say you absolutely need a professional to help you with your court dates and with preparing your financial statement? I have to say, when I go through that period of time when I need a financial statement, because this happens after a divorce too, things come up, and if you go to court, you have to do this financial statement. Well, I get calls from your office all the time from your team saying, hey, did you do this? Did you get that? Where are your taxes? Where, all of it, because that's so important for you when you go to court. Two, a lot of times certain courts need the information ahead of your appointment with the judge. So you need to get it done at a certain time, and you need to listen to your attorney.
Absolutely. And again, you need to be consistent, because when you go from something being $250 a week to $250 a month, we're shaking our head going, oh, you're lying. And again, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. Hopefully you're not my client that's lying, but we're going to take a look at that. When you do have that discrepancy, my office is going to pick up the phone and go, hey, Erica, why is this such a great difference? Because it's going to be something that we may have to correct and let the judge know we were wrong, or we can just kind of shoot under the rug, which is not the right way to go, that attorneys do. And then guess what? I'm looking at a trial and going, you said $250 a month, then you said $250 a week. Now you're saying it's $10 a week. Well, which one is it, Erica? And the judge just goes, big fat liar, and stops listening to you. So you really need to look at that stuff and really be consistent on it.
Well, I mean, that is one of the things that people don't usually talk about their bills in weeks. And I have definitely been in a situation where I turn it in and you're like, well, this isn't a week. And I'm like, oh, no. I have to, divide it out and make sure that it's per week. It's very few numbers on that form that will be monthly or annual. Most of it is per week, because if you have child support or alimony, that's per week too. So that's just the language that they speak. It's like their own measurement of everything. And if you're not used to it, it's good to have someone like Nicole and her team to keep you on track.
Absolutely. I think we make that phone call at least one time to every client. So you're not the only one. You won't be the last one. Everyone will do that and we'll go, no, that's got to be monthly. Oh, yeah, no, it's monthly. Okay, great. As long as we know the answer, we can divide it, but we need to start there. I think the other problem is just people not caring on answers to interrogatories or discovery. Again, it's something that we as attorneys use that against you. So why would you not want to make sure that everything is protected, everything is accurate? All too often, somebody's asking me something like, give me your entire work history. And they're like, oh, I'm not doing that, Nicole. Okay, well, do the best job you can. Well, I'm just not going to do it. I can object, but when I left out 5 jobs and then we're saying that, they're making the argument that you're a deadbeat and you haven't worked, and I don't have anything on the interrogatories that say otherwise, then it kind of looks like you're a deadbeat. So again, even if it's nominal, I held, 3 different jobs. They were sales clerk managers. I was at this store for this date. I can't tell you exactly how long, about 3 months. Give me something to go off of. But to just blatantly ignore it is hard. You're asking that you have medical issues. Okay, well, what are your medical issues? Well, I don't want to tell them about all those. Okay, how do you propose that I'm going to be able to tell a judge these things if you don't give me this information? And again, let me remind you, you're signing it under the pains and penalties of perjury. So again, very important. Or I don't want to give you the last 5 years of tax returns because it's going to take me too long. Really? It's usually calling up your CPA and going, hey, can you get them to me? And in this day and age, you're probably going to upload them to a portal that you can download and then upload directly to my portal. So really, I get that it's cumbersome. I get that you don't want to spend your weekend doing it. But when we're asking for these things, we're asking them for a reason. My job is to protect you. And maybe I do say, absolutely, this is overburdensome and this is the only thing we're going to give you. But I have to articulate it. It's going to be only this time frame, or I'm only going to do it for this time frame. And then we let the judge ultimately decide whether or not you have to give the entire records or you can only give a portion. But you don't get to make that determination. That's not up for you. That's up for the judge to decide. That's up for me to do the best I can to protect you.
Absolutely. You have to take Nicole's advice or your attorney's advice if you're not in the area. I mean, they see it all the time. And that's the thing. They know because they see it every single day. And now I have a question for you. It is pretty interesting because you do expect your clients to do things properly. And plenty of times people want to avoid putting some kind of income down as like a little extra that they might get. Now, let's say they have a new husband or a new boyfriend. There is somewhere on the sheet that says you have to put down what their contribution is. I'm not sure the court ever really checks to see if it's true, but you have to do it. Now, what if the other side doesn't do it? I know that you say, well, you still have to do it. So can you speak a little bit to that? Because I know other people are thinking that if their ex is remarried or living with someone that has a good income also and should be contributing, and that's just not on the financial statement. And do you have to do it if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend?
You have to do it if it applies. And if it applies, it's going to be if they're contributing to the household. So simple answer is, I don't care if it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or an aunt or an uncle or grandparents. I don't care who they are. The simple fact of the matter is if they're contributing to the household, you need to put it on there. Now, do you get to do it and they don't have to? No, technically they're supposed to do it too. And that's what we bring up to the court is they're not being truthful. But again, you're signing on pains and penalties of perjury. You notice there's a redundancy here going on, but that's exactly it. Just because they're doing something wrong doesn't give you the authority to do something wrong. That just allows me to poke holes in their story. That allows me to poke holes in the fact that they're not completing a financial statement that's true and accurate. They're lying under oath. That helps me if you do it. Again, in terms of child support or alimony, certainly that's going to have an impact one way or another. But let me do my job. That's what we're here for. I can certainly say that that's excluded. I can also say that again on page 2 of the financial statement with all of the expenses, I've footnoted that your husband is paying for these items, so there's 0. But I'm also footnoting that. So there's ways that I can get around that information, or I say, hey, look, he is contributing, but these are the expenses that he pays. So there's, again, wiggle room within the bounds. Now, the exception to that is if you happen to be a divorced couple and you say in your separation agreement or subsequent judgments, we will not include any spouses or live-in people's income. So in that particular case, I can ask, I can footnote it in saying we have that, but it's also exempt because of the judgments that were previously entered. So there are times that it is not included, but it is not included because we agreed that it wouldn't be included. Otherwise, yes, it needs to be on that financial statement. Again, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
You're so mature, and that's why you're the attorney. So many people going through a divorce revert back to being toddlers and mine, and angry and just seeing red most of the time during the divorce and during any kind of matter that has to go to family court. And that's why you're great. One of the many reasons, because you can just say, hey, I get that this makes you angry, but this is how we're going to deal with it. And you're going to need to be mature for the next hour or whatever it is, and keep it to yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that's the big issue is, again, would you rather be full disclosure with footnotes, or would you rather just, I'm going to hide it. Shh, don't tell anyone. No. Really, that's what you're setting yourself up to, for the judge to go, well, ma'am, do you have a spouse? Yes. Is he paying any of the bills? Yes. Well, which ones are he paying? I mean, how do you get around that? You don't. You answer the question, and now the judge goes, you just lied to me. Maybe I should not rule in your favor because you lied to me. And that's one of the factors that the court can look at. Should it be the deciding factor? Absolutely not. But again, the judge has the ability to believe all, part, or none of any testimony. And when the judge is asking you a specific question, you're giving testimony. So you lied, and you're correcting it now because I caught you in the lie. Maybe I don't necessarily buy what the attorney just said about how wonderful you are.
Yeah, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot that way. So what other documents do people get all tripped up on?
They get tripped up on bank statements. And it's so funny because nowadays, unless you're me, you can go online and you can look at your bank statements. Yes, it's tedious. You have to actually download them. I get it. But again, I'm going to go with, you ask your children to do homework. You put time aside away in your work day to make sure the projects are done. Why is this any different? So take the time to download the documents that we're seeking, but all too often they don't want to do it because there's no easy way to batch download, if you will. They have to go through and go December, November, October, and they're going, I'm going to kill Nicole, as they're going down the alphabet of the calendar. But at the end of the day, we need that information. And guess what? I'm also doing the same thing of your ex. So it's just as equally tedious and cumbersome of him. So it's one of those things that people get so fed up with, and they're like, well, I don't want it, or they have access. Okay, again, two wrongs don't make a right, people. I get it, but we need to be able to show that we're doing everything in our power to resolve this and to be upfront about it. They're the ones delaying it. They're the ones that are causing the problems. They're the ones that are creating all these issues. That's what we want to portray to the judge. So the tax returns and the bank statements, I think, are the hardest part that people don't want to deal with. Again, why simple things like retirement accounts. Sometimes, it's Fidelity and they have 5 different plans and it's nice and easy. And sometimes you have Fidelity and Wells Fargo, and you have to go to all these different sites, and it's a little bit harder. Sorry, so sad, but it's still something that is required. And ideally you have one person that's handling all of your accounts, and then you can just go to them and go, hey, Jane, can you give me all of the documents and all my retirement accounts? That's an ideal world. But if you happen to spread them out over multiple forums, we need to get that information. So I get that it's tedious, but this is a thing where you take a weekend and do 5 hours, and then it's done, it's over with.
Absolutely. It is, everyone's really busy, but this could affect your case, and you could get in a lot of trouble and be forced to do it anyway. So you might as well do it on time when your lawyer's asking for it, then wait for the judge to think badly of you, and you might end up not doing as well in court because of that. I mean, how you act in court, how you act with the documents, like getting things for discovery for the other side, all of that can work against you later. And conversely, if the other side is not giving you the documents and the information that you request, you could also get them in trouble. Is that right, Nicole?
Not only can you get them in trouble, but push comes to shove, you might also get your attorney's fees paid for their ignorance or their non-willingness to do it. You might also have to have a master appointed, in which case maybe they've got to pay all those fees. And now you're paying a third party in addition to. So it's consequences on both ends. But if we're seeing that people are not doing what's right, then the court has the ability to sanction you. The court has the ability to order that person to pay the other party's attorney's fees, or the court has the ability to appoint a master, in which case both of you may have to pay the master, another attorney, same amount of money per hour or more, or in the alternative, that they assign somebody to blame, and then that master is required to be paid by one person. So there's definitely consequences. And lastly, if you really continue down this road, maybe what we do is we ask that you're not allowed to produce documents at trial. How do you win a case if you can't show any documents? Haven't found anyone yet that can do it.
So there's the escalation that you want to avoid. And that's why you want to listen and get those documents together and worry about the attorneys fighting over whether or not your ex will do it for you. And they will fare poorly if they don't, is what I'm understanding.
Absolutely correct.
So we've gone over a lot of information about documentation. I mean, there are so many documents, and there's a lot of facets of this. There's a lot of tricks that people play. What are some of the tricks that you've seen the other side play when it comes to documentation?
There's a lot. I think the biggest problem that I always have is when people want to send me to their portal that requires me to do their password, and then I have to go through another step, and then there's never an update. So I don't know that you've updated things in your portal because there's no notifications. And then you go, well, I gave that to you. Well, okay, I can't be responsible for your portal not sending me notifications. Or, I'm just going to upload them in an email to you, unredacted. So we have those problems, in which case you're violating your client's privacy rights. And, you're basically can go to the Attorney General and they could be fees that are very excessive for each offense that you're doing. I've seen people just literally kind of do a hodgepodge of, here's the documents, they're no kind of order, I don't really know what's there or not, here you go. There's other attorneys that will literally not give you a breakdown. So you're supposed to say, I have 3 years of tax returns, they're attached as Exhibit A. I have the bank records, they're attached as Exhibit B. And then you put them in order. And again, whether you're doing it by way of a portal or otherwise, there still should have that breakdown. So all too often, people will give me all the documents in no discernible order. I'll have 2 months of bank statements. Now I have a retirement account. Now I have a tax return. And I'm going, what? So there's no rhyme or reason. You have to go to your staff and go, can you put this in some order? Because I don't know. Or better yet, put it in chronological order again with the exhibits so that I can understand it. But again, when you don't take that step as an attorney and tell us what you have as is required, it makes it next to impossible, because I don't know if you conveniently forgot to give me the last 4 pay stubs, or if they are not working and you decided not to give me the last 4 pay stubs because it was 2 months old. So I don't have the answers if you don't give me that information that is required. So there's a lot of games that are played between everybody, and it's really ridiculous, because at the end of the day, I'm entitled to it. I'm entitled to it. It's just a game. Don't waste your time. Don't waste the attorney's time. Don't waste it all in money and fees, because ultimately that's what's going to end up happening. I'm going to send a letter off to your attorney and go, you didn't comply. These are all the things that I'm missing. You're going to go, no, it was there. Well, where is it? Well, I don't know. Okay, so let's just be adults about it. Let's do our jobs, and let's do it in a manner that makes life so much easier. Because guess what? When you do it to me, I won't do it back to you, but I will get to you in other ways.
It just costs people a lot more money and time. And who has that?
Absolutely.
Rare commodity nowadays. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. This has been an amazing interview. I feel like those that are going through financial statements can appreciate what we've discussed today. And, really, if you have any questions on financial statements or on your case, definitely give Nicole and her team a call. They are amazing at what they do, and they are direct and empathetic, and will tell you straight like what the strategies are, what the best ways to move forward are, which is really what you need. If you're going through this emotional time, you need someone that you can rely on to give it to you straight. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Nicole.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you all next week, everyone. Have a great weekend.